Remember Quiznos?
Oh, I love Quiznos.
Quiznos unfair matchup is what they called it.
Okay.
Remember? And they were comparing Quiznos subs to other subs. Like, that's an unfair matchup. This is a Quiznos unfair matchup because the answer is almost always the quarterback. Almost. I will hold out for a few historical exceptions maybe. But Maddie came in here about an hour and goes, well, okay, what if it was the Titans? Derrick Henry or Ryan Tannehill? And the first thought that went through my head is, well, that's a little different because Tannehill is not that good and Brock Purdy is really good.
Higher ranked according to certain websites.
Thanks, Ringer.
You're welcome.
Anyway, your initial reaction is to go, especially if you're a fantasy player. See, I think that's a part of this now. Your fantasy player, Derrick Henry, more important to the Titans. Okay, you tell me. The Titans' chances of winning the football game on Sunday, I don't care who the opponent is, are better if Tajay Spears is toting the rock out of the backfield.
You made that up.
No, I didn't.
You had to look it up.
No.
Tajay
Spears. That's a backup running back.
Okay.
Tennessee Titans.
I'll Google it, but go ahead and continue.
Tennessee, check it out.
Who's their backup quarterback?
Well, I think it's Malik Willis, or it certainly was last year, and he is either second or third on the list right now. Will Grier has been on every team in the NFL. Is it Will Levis? Is over there. It's
Malik Willis.
Malik
is the
Willis,
backup.
and then Will Levis. Okay, so Malik Willis, who we watched play football last year, and the ball doesn't move when Malik Willis is the quarterback. So if I'm the Titans, or if I'm making the spread for the game, when are they better? When Tajay Spears is toting the rock? Or when Malik Willis is running the show? To me, it's an easy answer. Ryan Tannehill is more important on that offense than Derrick Henry. If your question is, who's more important to win the game this weekend? Dibs, it's a Quiznos unfair matchup. The answer's the quarterback almost every time.
Almost every time.
Almost.
And your Titans comp is not an accurate one because Tajay Spears, 20 carries for $122.
He's a good player.
He's no Derrick Henry. He's an all-right player.
Malik Willis is no Ryan Tannehill.
But you could get away with having Derrick Henry because you don't really need quarterback play if you're Tennessee as much as you need running back play.
Come on.
Derrick Henry's more important to the Titans than Ryan Tannehill.
Come on,
and you know
Dibs.
that.
I don't know that. I vehemently disagree.
Ryan Tannehill is not very good. Your words.
Correct.
And Derrick Henry is very good. And you're a team that runs it. Derrick Henry runs it 25 times a game.
I literally started this conversation by saying, don't let this denigrate into a who's a better player conversation.
No, it's who's more important to their team.
Right, it's not relevant. I promise you.
Tennessee doesn't throw it 45 times a game.
Ask an odds maker.
They'd rather not throw it at all.
Ask an odds maker.
This is not about odds making.
It is. It's absolutely about odds making.
Let's go to the odds of NFL MVP as we sit right now.
Okay.
Because Christian McCaffrey is 20-1 and Brock Purdy is 22-1.
Great.
So according to the odds makers,
but that's not the question.
Christian McCaffrey has a better chance of being the MVP than Brock Purdy does.
That's an award.
Exactly.
Nothing to do with our conversation at all.
Well, the conversation is about football. It's not about odds makers. And you know that odds makers are setting odds based on money and public opinion. They're not setting it solely on who is a better football player and
of course not, but they're not.
It's more dependent on the money and the public and the marketplace.
Absolutely, but
so for you to bring that into the conversation is equally erroneous.
Incorrect. Incorrect.
It's erroneous.
That is what drives numbers, but also not solely. Numbers are also driven by what the odds makers feel the effect on the game will be when someone is missing, and quarterbacks almost inherently have bigger numbers next to their name than any non-quarterback. Christian McCaffrey is number one. He is right now the number one non-quarterback in the league.
And what was that point spread swing?
Forget.
Because you had the Brock Purdy one.
I think it was about a field goal.
And Brock Purdy was about
the
4
3.5
points.
or 4.
Right.
Yeah, but those are comparable. Like I do think Brock is maybe a half point more or whatever. But if that's even only a piece of the conversation, I'll just barrel it down to, if you want, your opinion on whether the 49ers are better with Brock Purdy throwing to Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, Eli Mitchell behind versus Sam Darnold throwing to Debo, Ayuk, Christian behind.
Right.
To me, I've said this so many times. I think it's funny.
Yeah.
I think it's funny how far gone we all are on Sam is great. Sam's great on the Niners. We've never seen it. We've literally never seen it.
And you just used throwing to, which to me is a short-sighted way of looking at this overall discussion, because if you've got Sam Darnold and a full complement of other guys, you're probably not going to throw it as much as you are with Brock Purdy because you have more faith in Brock Purdy. So if you have Sam Darnold and McCaffrey and Eli and TDP and Jordan and George and Brandon and Debo and Charlie Warner and everybody else, you've got everybody but Brock, you're probably not going to go out there and try to win a game thinking you're going to get 30 points.
You still have to throw the ball. Everybody's got to throw the ball.
You got to throw the ball. But you're going to lean on your ground game a lot more than if you have Brock Purdy and you don't have Christian McCaffrey, you're going to throw the ball a lot more than you normally would because you don't have the same faith in Mitchell and TDP and Jordan Mason.
I don't know. I have no idea. To me, that's more game plan dependent. That's on who the opponent is. That's game flow.
Right.
That's all of that stuff.
To me, that's inherent to this conversation because it's Kyle Shanahan. To me, the whole root of this conversation is Kyle Shanahan and the way he runs his offense with the 2 running backs and the 1 tight end. And Brock Purdy is amazing doing that. But if you didn't have Brock and you had Sam, would you run it that much differently if you had Christian McCaffrey? I don't think so.
I don't know. There's no way to know. We've never seen it.
I don't think so.
But we've never seen it.
And this is what you think and what I think and what all the callers think.
No, I get that. But there are certain things we've seen, and then there's certain things we haven't seen. I think what is actually inherent to this conversation is 49er football under Kyle Shanahan with Brock and without. And it's way flipping better with Brock. And so I personally find it confusing, quite frankly, when people think that they could go to a different quarterback and not have a big drop-off. The conversation was based, and then we're going to the phones, on this comment from Peter King last hour.
If you had to beat the Dallas Cowboys this week and you heard that one guy among Brock Purdy or Christian McCaffrey was going to miss this game, what would you say, which guy missing the game would give you the better chance to win? In my opinion, Christian McCaffrey missing the game would give you the better chance because that would mean you'd have your quarterback. These are all fun discussions to have, but I think that right now, today, October 4th, 2023, that Brock Purdy, I would consider him to be a more valuable player on the Niners than Christian McCaffrey.
By the way, and we can get to this a little bit later, and if you missed any portion of Peter, we'll have it for you next hour. We did also ask later in the conversation whether or not that makes Brock Purdy an MVP candidate. And you had asked earlier to what level Christian is an MVP candidate, and you have the odds there. But Peter mentioned to us that he is indeed a voter, and he said Christian, to win that award, would have to obliterate records, Eric Dickerson, Derrick Henry, do something Adrian Peterson-esque in order to be in this conversation. It sounded to me like he felt it was much more realistic to think that Brock Purdy could end up in that conversation if what we've seen through these first 4 games continues.
And I'm fascinated by that because if the Niners go 15-2 or 16-1, they have the best record in the NFL. Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey are both healthy throughout. Brock Purdy does this sort of thing all year, which means he's not going to throw for 5,000 yards. He probably throws for about
4,200.
Yeah, 4,200 and about 20 touchdowns. That's about the pace that he's on. And McCaffrey's on a pace for 1,950 yards, which is not the record, and that's rushing. And then you would add in about 600 or 700 yards receiving, and so now you got a guy at about 2,700 yards and 25 touchdowns is the pace that he's on. Mm-hmm. He's actually on a pace closer to 30, but I'm going to give him 25 just to be generous with them spreading the ball around. I'd be surprised if Brock Purdy at 4,225 touchdowns got the MVP over a guy who had 2,500 combined and 20 touchdowns.
Or they split the vote and Josh Allen wins the whole thing. I mean, is certainly.
Well, it depends on who wins.
Well,
and it comes down to winning teams tend to get the MVP consideration.
I'll say this. If we're going to do what they're on pace to do, if he finishes 17 games with 0 interceptions, he winning that damn award. He winning that award.
That'd be impressive. That'd be impressive.
Because he's on pace for 0 interceptions
and I wonder
this
what
year.
the record is for a quarterback who threw or who played the entire year.
For interceptions?
Yeah, fewest. I think it's like 2 or 3, I believe.
Is it really?
I think so.
For the whole year?
I'll look it up. Maybe
That
I'm
would
thinking
be-
about college, but
Yeah, that would be crazy. Let's hear what people think here. We'd love to hear what people think. 888-957-9570. Jay, 7-Eleven. Are you inside a 7-Eleven right now, Jay?
No, I'm home now.
Oh, okay. But you were? What'd you get?
Powerball.
I think I got the cheese pizza and I got the chicken and the broccoli and the Lay's sauce, and I'm gonna make a pizza.
Oh, look at you. Look at you, Jay. It sounds like a good night. Happy Wednesday. What do you think on this, Jay?
It's easy, man. It's easy. I totally agree with Dibs. Big C Brock is going to be the quarterback for the Niners for a very long time. Done deal. However, if he was to go down, I have all the confidence in Sam Darnold. He's just sitting in the cut studying, learning Shanahan's offense. And if you got CMC, you got Sam Darnold doing what he's been studying for, because Sam Darnold has not been on a team like this. And I have all the confidence in this organization, and they did what was right. They basically grabbed the QB, backup QB, to say, all right, you've been on what? It was the Panthers, the Jets, seeing ghosts. He's ready to go. He hasn't had a team like this. So if I had to choose, it's CMC all day. You want healthy. And
yeah, Jay, listen.
Thanks, Jay.
Thanks so much. By the way, I have the answer on the interception thing, but let's
it's a multi-tiered answer because I have it as well.
Okay, it is a multi-tiered answer, although there's one constant in it. But we'll get to that in a sec. To respond to Jay, maybe I have found what is the discord, depending on whatever side you're on in this conversation. You all got way more confidence in Sam Darnold than I do. That's all I see.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And by you all, I hope you're including Laminated Play Sheet in our group because he has that same level of confidence.
We don't know that, and we also do not know
you've
what
heard his words.
Well, yeah, at a press conference.
Multiple times.
Okay.
How they loved him coming out of college, and they gave him the job on the first day of free agency as QB2.
Right.
They love him.
Gabe Kapler is under contract, and we expect him back this year.
You're not going to make that comp.
I am going to make
Shanahan
that comp.
loves Sam Darnold more than you do.
That's
all I'm saying.
I have no idea if that's true, and we have no idea what Kyle would even vote on this topic. We'll never hear him say it.
Of course.
A head coach, of course, is going to back his guys, and I don't hate Sam Darnold. That has nothing to do with it. We've never seen it before.
With the Niners, yeah.
I've watched, now not with Brock, but we've watched 49er football without Christian McCaffrey, and they were not as good, but they were still good. They were still a good football team.
Yeah, but not like this. My God.
Now, who's saying that? I'm certainly not saying there's no
I'm not
drop-off.
putting words in your mouth. I wouldn't do that.
But we have watched Sam Darnold play with other teams, and it's not good. So I love the backing of Kyle Shanahan, that people now believe that because he's with Kyle, that Sam would be a totally different version of himself. And I'm willing to say he might be. Like, I really hope we never get the answer to this question, but I'll be the first one. If Sam comes in and plays MVP level football because Brock misses a game or two, my God, I'll be right here on the radio to be like I was wrong. But I think there would be a very noticeable drop from Brock Purdy to Sam Darnold. And you're right, there's no way that we can definitively answer this question.
Sure.
This is predictive, but I'm intrigued by where that confidence comes from in Sam. I get that it's mainly Kyle.
It's all Kyle.
But it's so funny though, because the Kyle Shanahan conversation this offseason, it did not sound like the fan base felt this confident in Kyle Shanahan, but they do in this little window.
Well, I look at what
Sam
the team
Darnold
has done, and this is something that I learned from you in terms of actions, not words. And they went out in the first day of free agency, gave a QB2 a guaranteed deal, and all they've said subsequent to that is how much they loved him out of college, and the big arm and the great decision making. And I know they're not going to disparage anybody. They didn't even disparage Trey Lance on his way out the door. But I look at a quarterback and a head coach who likes the quarterback, and I do think that quarterback is probably the most reliant position in all of sports on system, structure, and coaching. And you look at Alex Smith when he was a 49er. Was he a terrible quarterback? No. Was he mediocre, who was surrounded by a different coordinator every year and a mostly talentless roster? I think that's fair to say.
Mediocre plus, at least.
He goes to Kansas City, and all of a sudden he's better because, magic happens? No, you're with a better team and a better coach and a better structure. I think that quarterback is the most reliant position in all of sports based on who you're with, who you play for, and who you play around.
Interesting chicken and the egg. I put it the other way around. While I admit that there is some truth to what you're saying, I think a team's play is the most reliant on the quarterback.
Agreed. I agree with that.
So they're both true. If we follow the tea leaves, as you just said, okay, what statement has been made about Sam Darnold by this organization with their actions, not their words? Here's what I would say.
It's obvious.
We think Sam Darnold is way better than Trey Lance.
And Brandon Allen.
Okay, sure. That's the statement. I've not heard all this, he thinks he's Steve Young. No. Their actions are Sam's way better than Trey.
Right.
I've not heard anything that says, and as good as Brock.
No one's saying that he's as good as Brock. All I'm saying is that the step down from Brock to Sam is not as dramatic as the step down from Christian to fill in the blank.
But are you factoring in the higher level of importance of the position?
I am, but I'm also factoring in the ability of the laminated play sheet holder to mitigate the importance of the position. Because, yes, it's the most important position in sports. So Brock is out, Sam is in. Well, Sam's not as good as Brock in A, B, C, D, and E related things. So let's try F, G, and H in terms of my laminated play sheet. Let's get the ball to Christian and Debo. Let's find other ways to be successful other than, hey, Brock, go ahead and throw it, and I know you're going to complete it because that's all you ever do.
So I guess here's what I would say about that. I still think the 49ers would be a solid team in either of these forms, without Christian, without Brock. It's still a top half of the NFL sort of a team.
They're a playoff team.
But when we say, well, you just get the ball to Christian, you got to understand the threat of what's out there in an NFL offense. Part of why Christian McCaffrey works so well is not simply because they turn around and hand him the ball. It's because the defense can't key on him, because if they do, Brock's going to fire it right over your head and Brandon Ayuk is gone for 40 yards. So if they don't think that you have a quarterback who can offer that threat, they're going to load the box, and Christian is going to look pedestrian at times. Yeah. It has happened. He did it against, Dallas in the playoffs last year. Brock Purdy was only in his, seventh game?
Something like
that. They offer a better defense than anyone else. Christian got bottled up because they were like, Brock, we're making Brock beat us. And Brock may not have been fully ready to do so. Dallas offered an amazing defense, and they ended the third quarter, and the Niners had not visited the end zone yet. It was 9 points on the board.
Yep, 9-9.
And we'll see if that happens again on Sunday night. But a lot of this is not even just the performance of the player. It's the threat that they offer to the opposing defensive coordinator.
Right.
Brock offers so much more of a threat than Sam.
I think Sam offers a different threat.
It trickles down to everybody.
Sam's got a bigger arm than Brock. So I think you're going to maybe draw up different things if we come to this hypothetical. I'm not saying you're just going to rear back and let Sam chuck it down the field that you won't let Brock do, but I do think that Sam Darnold has abilities with his arm that you can still capitalize on. I don't think a defense looks at Sam Darnold and says, all right, we're licking our chops. We're putting 9 in the box and daring this guy to beat us over the top, because he can do that with his arm. Now, is he going to go back to seeing ghosts and all the rest of it? Honestly, Mark, a lot of this, I think, is so reliant on what happens in my 5 bigs against your 5 bigs anyway. So,
well, sure.
If you have Sam or Brock, Christian or Eli, if Dallas's D-line wins the day in the trenches, it doesn't matter if you have Red Grange back there. You're in trouble. You're welcome.
At least he's wearing red. Joe in San Francisco, next up on Willard and Dibs. Hi, Joe.
Hey, guys. I hate to agree with Peter King and disagree with my brother in orthopedic injuries, Dan Dibley, but Dan, you're wrong. This team, the fortunes rest on Brock Purdy. We've already established that this team, the core of this team, Debo, Bosa, Kittle, Warner, is a championship-level team. They've made it to 3 NFC championships. They've made it to a Super Bowl, but they haven't had the quarterbacking to get it over the top. Let us not forget, and you may think this is a ridiculous idea, that Christian McCaffrey was healthy against the Philadelphia Eagles last year, and they got boat raced. So, and when the Niners faced McCaffrey when he was on the Cardinals, he was shut down. You can take him out.
Okay.
This team is dependent on quarterback play to get to where they want to go.
Hey, Joe, what happened against Philadelphia, Joe, when they got boat raced? Are you putting the blame on Christian McCaffrey? Because I believe he had to come in and play quarterback, Joe, my brother.
They didn't have the quarterbacking needed to get it done. And you could, for an important game, you could put Debo back there if McCaffrey sprains an ankle, and they can win that Super Bowl if Brock is quarterbacking. But if you you're acting like that all the fans love the most guy they love the most is the backup quarterback, and you're saying the backup quarterback is going to do it with a guy who wasn't able to do it last year. So he's fantastic. He probably should win the MVP. He should have won the Heisman instead of Derrick Henry.
Oh, Joe.
But this team's fortunes are dependent upon Brock.
Wait, no. Thank you, Joe. Why do you keep saying, Joe? Why are you poo-pooing him?
Because I'm poo-pooing him because he keeps going back to last year in Philadelphia.
But you said, Joe, when he said that Christian should have won the Heisman.
He's intimating that Josh Johnson and Sam Darnold are like quarterbacks.
They're not, and that's an excessive example, except for there's one thing.
He should have got run when he talked about Philadelphia being Christian's fault because he got bottled up. He had no quarterback, dog.
He never used the word fault, but there's a mini point in there.
Oh, Joe.
Why'd you say, Joe, when he said Christian should have won the Heisman? He's right.
What,
so you weren't even listening to him by then.
I was listening to him.
You were all triggered.
Are we going to re-adjudicate the Heisman Trophy race? We know why he didn't get the Heisman.
The mini point, it's too excessive of a point or an example, but why didn't Christian get any yards when he was running the ball when the Eagles knew that the Niners were running the ball?
Because they didn't have a quarterback.
Because they knew they was running the ball.
Because Brock Purdy was quarterbacking, and they saw him mouth the words, I can't throw on the sideline.
If Sam Darnold comes in, they're all going to target Christian.
But if Sam Darnold comes into that game after Josh Johnson gets concussed, you've got a better chance than you did.
I agree with you there.
That's why he got an Joe, and you're getting an O Mark, too, with a C.
I already said to you, it's too excessive of an argument.
Nonsense, Joe. My brother with an Arthur.
Turn your ears on.
No, they're on.
Nobody's saying what you're saying they're
Come
saying.
on. You're all saying it.
Turn them on.